Environment, one word that represents everything around us. It can be overwhelming to think about everything that threatens it.
We don't have enough water for the olives, and we're putting in agave here.
This week we look at possible solutions to the challenges our environment faces.
And other communities are looking to us on how to deal with rising waters.
And what scientists are doing to create trees that are more resistant to our changing world. This is The Race. When you talk to farmers, especially here in the West, they will tell you that drought is a very real problem. But today we're at a farm here in Northern California that's working on growing what could be a solution. It is a crop that many farmers here haven't grown before. In fact, it's not really grown in the United States, but it is something that we already consume. For as easy as it can be to pass off rural places as disconnected from the day-to-day of big cities.
We grow everything. You know, we're the world food basket right here where you are.
Walk with Craig Reynolds.
We grow the tomatoes, the almonds, walnuts, everything.
And you'll understand how close the link is between our dinner tables and the fields that surround this farm.
Within 10 miles, you can just fill up your shopping basket.
How often is drought a topic of conversation when you talk to other farmers?
Well, it's like the number one.
It is?
It's the number one issue. It's a huge, huge issue.
Drought's impact on the amount of food this region and other major farming communities produce nationwide is a direct threat to the livelihoods of those who grow these crops.
But if you see at the bottom of a plant, there's some small plant coming out of it right there.
Craig believes agave can be an answer. You might know the plants better in this form. The vast majority are grown in Mexico, where it's harvested to make tequila and mezcal. I learned those are terms that can only be used for spirits that come from certain regions of Mexico. What's grown here is known as agave spirits, and Craig believes it could be a new way for farmers to make money.
Agave seemed to me an ideal crop of low water use that would thrive in California with our increasing temperatures due to climate change.
Agave requires a fraction of the water that the traditional cash crops of this region, like almonds and olives, need to grow.
This right here was an olive orchard 6 months ago, and it was taken out because we don't have enough water for the olives, and we're putting in agave here.
For now, Craig makes only enough spirits for a small number of distilleries.
One of these can make 8 to 12 bottles.
But the question that he, other farmers, and those at the University of California, Davis, like Ron Runnebaum, are trying to answer is whether this crop can be grown on a large commercial scale in the U.S.
From my perspective, it is really the drought that is driving this, and the interest of growers in being able to plant something that will use or could use very little water.
Ron told me it could be a decade until we know whether farmers can count on agave.
This is what we plant.
Since it takes at least 6 years for one plant to grow.
And there's some risk involved. We don't have a lot of experience with it here in terms of frost, and that's the biggest challenge, I think, is getting a winter hard frost in certain areas, and it's not going to work everywhere, that's for sure.
While Craig is hopeful inserting more American farmers into the agave business will bolster their bottom lines, it's hard to ignore how sobering it may be that farmers can't grow crops like they used to.
We can't just walk away from our fields. We got to find other crops. Agave is just one of them.
And how important it is that we start searching for ways to adapt.
There are a lot of cities that rank really poorly when it comes to ozone pollution.
Unfortunately, it's not a problem we were able to solve. Folks did not drive less, they did not abide by some of the recommendations of the EPA, so now the EPA is sort of tightening the screws and making those recommendations rules.
There are two things related to each other that directly affect you: the environment and energy costs. Today, you are seeing that at work with the rise in gas prices. While there are many factors that lead to the increase, like the war on Ukraine or refineries slowing down due to maintenance, the environmental impacts also affect how much you are paying.
In order to try to tackle some of those high levels of ozone pollution, we have a lot of tools. Ozone pollution comes from a variety of different sources, and one of the tools we have is to require what's known as cleaner gasoline, and there are studies that show that some of those forms of cleaner gasoline can drive up the cost of gasoline.
This is why the Environmental Protection Agency requires certain areas in our country to have reformulated gas, a blend that burns more cleanly to help reduce smog and is usually more expensive. Currently, the EPA requirements are in effect in cities in 12 states. The most recent city to join that list is in Colorado, with Denver requiring it in 2024 for the summer months.
The producers sell it for more. Consumers can expect prices to go up by maybe as much as 30 cents at the pump in the summer months. But it's an open question. The Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment says, you know what, we think we can get to compliance without the EPA having to implement that rule. The EPA has said, you know what, that's the rule, but let's talk.
Which is why there are efforts across the country to help get these cities off the reformulated gas list and prevent other cities from joining it. Some of these solutions are clean energy tax credits stemming from solar panels for homes, another getting more people to buy electric vehicles by offering more incentives, or to President Biden's recent $7 billion funding for his clean hydrogen plan that will create 10 regional clean hydrogen hubs to lower emissions in sectors like energy, transportation, and steel.
Whether it's reducing pollution in our buildings by going to more cleaner, clean energy heat pumps, or removing gas appliances, or whether it's just making sure that we're ratcheting down pollution from industries by electrifying everything, making sure trucks and vehicles are electric. All of those tools are really important.
Until then, AAA suggests people take matters into their own hands to save on fuel costs.
There are some slight behavioral changes, but fundamentally the only surefire way to save is being more strategic with how you drive.
I'm Thomas Hoppo, and I'm here in Charleston, South Carolina, where the city is constantly battling climate change. I'll show you what cities are doing to try to preserve their history and the city itself.